so I've already removed the stock can. I use a T45 right here, and a T45, there's a clamp on this pipe here and a clamp on this pipe. Loosen everything up, and then just kind of wiggle the stock can off. It'll come off, just take some time. Make sure everything's good. You don't want to break anything or bend it. So now we are going to go to the front of the bike and remove the oil cooler clip right here. You can see I've got it coming off already a little bit. Then there's another one for the radiator. It looks just like the oil cooler one, so we're going to take that off very carefully and just set those off to the side. This is going to give us some more clearance to access all the header bolts, header nuts rather, to get all the way in there without damaging either the fan, the radiator, or the oil cooler. Alright, so we got the bottom tab off the oil cooler and out of the bracket. There is a bolt right here on either side of the oil cooler that attaches it to the radiator. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen that up. This will make it, entire oil cooler just hanging by the hoses there. It'll be fine. Once we get everything situated, come up to the top here, undo that bolt right there. There's one on each side, and that will free the radiator up. A little bit of room for us to get in there and get to the header bolt. As a note, I did move, this hose goes in front of the radiator neck, and then this hose, in order to get some maneuverability with the radiator, because there isn't very much, I had to move this hose out and this hose out and around. So this one simply unplugs if you want to unplug it from the tank, move it out of the way. It looks like it's just a breather hose anyway. So, all right, so I've completely removed the top portion of the radiator. Again, I didn't actually have to remove the bolts, just remove the slip ring, the washer, and it slid forward, but I'm still having trouble getting this bracket off right here. I can't really see the bolt it goes to. It is a T27, so make sure you have the right Torx bit. T27, I believe, is the correct size. And what I'm trying to do is remove it from here, but I can't get enough leverage on the radiator to pull it down far enough. So I'm gonna try to just remove the bracket and see if I can slide it down and out. All right, so I've finally gotten that this radiator and oil cooler bracket out, but at the cost or expense of this bolt right here. I made the mistake of just shoving a T25 in there thinking it was good. Nope, that wasn't the right size. I believe it was a T27. Stripped it a little bit, so I ended up having to take a T30 and smack it in there. Luckily I have a nice long extension that allows for the sockets to swivel just slightly. So I used this and I pushed it through between the radiator and the oil cooler. I had it pulled down a whole bunch so you can get the right angle on it. Super pain in the butt. Probably took me, I don't know, like an hour or so. Not fun, let me tell you that. So make sure you test fit each of these bolts before you just try to shove something in there and turn it. Good luck. All right, so I'm able to get the header nuts off using an extension with the wobble end extension or wobble head extension, using my 10 millimeter socket. So I've just done 3 of them so far, but this is probably by far the easiest way that I will figure out on how to get all of them off, all the way along there. Again, I'm just going straight through the radiator and the oil cooler. I have a bungee cord hooked up to the oil cooler, hanging onto my stand to make sure it doesn't drop too low or kink the lines or anything like that. So hopefully we can get these off pretty quickly. All right, now we need to remove the O2 sensors. I've already pulled some of it apart, but I just want to show you real quick. To remove the top portion of the sensor, lift up on the tab right here. Let me get it to focus. Lift up on the tab and remove this piece out. In order to get the entire piece, you can either grab this entire black thing here and it'll come away from the motor, or you can use a small screwdriver and push the little tab. Maybe hard to see, or even hard to do, but push the tab and it should slide straight up. So push it left or right and it will actually come up off the track. And you can see it just kind of slides back and forth on there, so it's not bad. So I'm just going to leave the O2 sensors in the exhaust and remove it with the exhaust. So I just tuck these in there for when the time is ready, and do the same thing on the opposite side. Here's the O2 sensor. I've already disconnected it. Now I just need to get this to slide on or off the track and be free to continue on. So left side of bike, I ended up just having to pry this off using a small screwdriver. It is placed right. Make sure you have the right orientation when you go to put it back together. Next step is remove the servo motor and cables. So we're going to unscrew this bolt right here. It's a T25, and take the cover off to expose the actual cable. Alright, so here's the cables with the servo motor. So I've loosened the top part of the cable just using a 10mm, and then that will create enough space to pull, to make it, just to give you access to be able to pull that out and undo the cable. Alright, now it's time to take off this big bolt right here. And there's another one on the other side you can see over there. We're going to take both of those off. This holds up the cat here. So we should be good to just take this out, and then I think the whole entire exhaust will drop down. We'll check it out, get those removed, and see if it comes. Alright, so this bolt is a T45. Got the socket in there, and I have that wobble extension, which has really helped so far. So I definitely recommend getting a set of the wobble ended, so it allows the socket just a little bit of movement so I can get in there and get the right angle. But yeah, it's good. All right, left side of the bike is a little bit easier, but I still ended up having to use the wobble socket. I'm able to get it out of there. Expect to get a little dirty if you have your chain lubed up. But yeah, remember this is a T45. All right, with all the bolts off and everything, it doesn't quite slide out easily. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take those two small bolts off, using a T25, those two there, and that should release this big bolt, and then it should be able to drop straight down. So I'm gonna do the two on this side, and then there's two on the right side of the bike. And that should give us the clearance to just go ahead and slide everything out. All right, with the bolts out now, you should be able to lift it out completely, and this is a bolt that's like turned backwards up against the motor here, so it will remove or just lift up completely, but I don't want to do it yet until I get the other side detached. All right, this is what it looks like with it out of the way. So now I'm going to go ahead and drop the other side, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so removing these did the trick. It just gave us enough clearance to drop it. It's sitting on my stand right now. I just have to tilt it, tilt the back part of it upwards to clear that oil line, and get ready to start the install. Actually, we got to remove the two O2 sensors since we just unplugged them. All right, this is the servo motor here. We need to undo that connection and go ahead and remove it all together. I'm going to use a servo buddy, but first we need to loosen this bolt right here, and like I said, we're going to have to try to somehow get to that little clip right there to remove the sensor or the hookup. All right, so I ended up getting the sensor undone, but I need to come up here. I removed the rear brake reservoir fluid container just out the way, and then there is a bolt right here on the back side of this bracket, which is a major pain in the butt to get to, but the bolt for the brake reservoir was a T25. This bolt back here for the reservoir bracket is a T30. Oh, what a pain in the butt. All right, so I completely removed the bracket. I decided just to cut some zip ties off that were holding the clutch line, brake line, all that stuff. This is a servo motor. It might have helped if I'd taken out this bolt right here for the subframe, but decided not to. It got everything squeezed by. You can kind of tell that it was rubbing a little bit, but it was a major pain, like I said. Had to end up holding this line up out of the way, pushing all these lines over here and trying to pull it at the same time from down here, and it was just a pain in the ass. So you might want to just remove this bolt. There is a nut on the back side of the subframe here. I don't know if that will work for sure. It's just a recommendation. Definitely take pictures of what you're cutting and things like that, or the orientation of how the all of these lines are supposed to run, because I just left that right there so it stays level, no fluid hopefully will drain out or anything like that. But try to keep everything straight, organized, so you know how to put it all back together. All right, you see the black plate straight ahead, so that's what the servo motor actually slid up and down. So I'm not going to take the cables out of it. I just decided to use a servo buddy. It's for our bikes. This will eliminate the servo, obviously, and it will not have any codes pop up on the display or anything. You know, it won't trigger anything in the ECU. To install it, you want to turn it to where it's the servo buddy is down, and then you want to slide it down there into the same plug that the servo came out of. So I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie it up there on the same thing that was hanging on, that way so it's out of the way and it's not just dangling around. All right, so I've reinstalled everything, got the servo buddy back there. I've replaced all the zip ties, put everything back in its original spot. Make sure you take pictures to be able to reference how everything was placed in there and the orientation of the zip ties and all that good stuff. So just keep good track of that stuff so you can reinstall it nicely. For the install, what we've done is we've taken each of the flanges with all the springs and the stock nuts that I took off and installed them in there. It says to insert the pipes next and then torque them down, but since I have so much room, I'm gonna go ahead and torque them down now and call it good. So I'd rather get the torque wrench in there when there's a lot more room than just a little bit of room. So I'm gonna torque them down and then start to install the pipes, and then we should be almost done shortly, hopefully. All right, so I decided to put the radiator and oil cooler bracket back in there without the pipes, because again, your space is gonna get real tight. So I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but I'm just gonna give it a go and see if I can make my life a little bit easier. So next up is installing the pipes, and then I will reposition the radiator back in the bracket and the oil cooler back in the bracket. Yeah. All right, so I've got the header pipes fitted. The bracket did go in there, so that's good for the radiator and the oil cooler. I've just gone ahead and thrown on the rest of the link pipe. It's pretty easy once you get to the step. It's just lining everything up and pushing it together. Still need to put the springs on, but it's about 9:45 at night. I'm gonna call it good. Not gonna start it tonight anyway, so we'll check in the morning. It'll be day 3 of doing it, just whenever I got time to, really. So if you guys have any questions, you know, let me know in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. So all I have left is to put the springs on, the O2 sensors, reconnect the O2 sensors, and put the stock can on there. Hopefully we'll be able to fire it up tomorrow morning. All right, springs on here at the bottom. Don't have the stock can on yet. Just put the O2 sensor back in, and I routed it the same routing when it was stock back up to here. This side though, we're gonna have to take this piece right here off of this, and we're gonna place it right next to the sensor on this. So hopefully that will fit there, and then we can route it up along here, tucked underneath these wires, and plugged in right here. So that's good to go. Alright, so I have everything installed now. Gotta secure the radiator, oil cooler, start her up, and then put the fairings back on. We'll be good to go. So that's it for an Akrapovic titanium exhaust install. Stainless steel should be the same thing. Same thing along with the other years if you have an earlier generation S1000R. So if you guys have any questions, like I said, just please comment below. Please go ahead and like the video, share it if you need to, and again, let me know if you have anything in the comments. Thanks for watching. Alright, first start with the Akrapovic titanium headers with my stock end can.